Okay, so when it's come to PSN, so the maximum number that we can deploy with respect to PSN persona, guys, that is 50 PSN or MN. This is what, this is how we can deploy. Although I know, guys, this is quite difficult for you to understand all those things right away, but we're going to talk about this. Don't get afraid, like how we going to do that and in what sense I'm talking about. So we will be doing that. Okay, we will be doing that with respect to deployment part, when it's come to deployment part. So today is just an introductory part for this ICE module. Okay, so don't get confused like how we can deploy. We're going to talk about that. Okay, so now as you guys were, talking about those terms, which is Cisco devices, so you must be aware about the license that is required with respect to running all those devices, right? So in similarly over here also we have bunch of devices, right? Bunch of licensing thing with respect to ICE. So just to give you a little idea about it, I'm just writing down those names. The license that is there, essentials. Say, do you want to say something?
I just
Okay.
left.
So guys, license are something that is just if I can just simply gives you an example, if you don't know about license, is similar to Netflix membership, right? So they have different amount for Netflix membership and different kind of functionality. So if you go for very much initial ones, they are limited features. Like you can't be able to, share your account, or you can't be see your account on multiple devices. Like this is how Netflix work, right? So similarly with respect to ICE or with respect to any license for the devices. So here I'm talking about ICE only. So this is what we have. So in essential, this is, I can say, very much initial one. Okay. So in there we have limited functionality. I'm not talking about those functionality, guys. I know this is too much for you, but just consider this with respect to Netflix. Essential is initial one. Advantages have some more features with respect to essential. And then if I talk about premier one, this is the highest highest version where you have all the functionality, all the latest functionality. So how these things work? If you have essential license with yourself, then you have three or four features, right? I can say three or four. I'm just giving an example. I'm not going into what features or what functions you have, but I'm just want to know about this term is once you go for advantage, what you have. See, advantage have their five functions. But in here in ICE, how things work. If you take advantage license thing, then you have this five plus this three, eight functions. So if you go with the latest, or if you serial wise, so see, if you go for essential, you only have three to four. But in advantage, you have the functionality of advantage license plus the functionality of their downgrade license, which is essential. Similarly, if I'll take premier license with me, then I have the if premium, we have eight features, right? So now I have the features of essential plus advantage in premier roles. This is how things got distributed with respect to license, guys. Okay. Okay. So another term that I just want to talk about is, I use this term in very much starting, which is context visibility. What do we have in context visibility? So in context visibility, we have we will be having information about endpoints, users, network devices, and what application they are using. So eyes give me this context visibility with respect to my network, right? So in this, how can I say like it will provide me holistic view of my network, right? And allow quick sorting and filtering of context information and improve situational awareness, identifies users and endpoints. Okay. So this is the factors that we're going to talk about when we, coming to other sessions also with respect to ICE, right? So you can just keep a note of it, like when I'm using this context visibility term. So what kind of visibility I'm having? So I'm having a term which is endpoint. So I'm aware about what kind of endpoints are connecting to my network, right? And when I'm coming to users, like who are the one who using my network, like who the person is, that person belongs to which groups or which user, what's the username, which person is that. So that comes to users. And when I talk about network devices, so when we use tacacs plus, we will be limiting access with respect to the network devices. And then application, so in application, guys, what kind of application and what application that particular person used. So this kind of context visibility I have with respect to ICE, right? So now I think we are good to go with initial parts. This is a lab that is just a initial demo, right? Initial demo. So we are not doing any more lab today, right? What we are doing. So this is a small lab we have just to know how how initial things work over here, right? Okay, so if you have ICE in your environment, then how you initially configure your ICE. So let me just see what information they have. Okay, so let me just power on this node and let me click. Okay, so I hope it's might be not working. Let me just stop all the nodes, log in again. Okay, guys, till the time I'm logging back. So if you have any doubt, go ahead. Guys, any doubt with respect to this introduction part? Because we are moving to initial configuration of ICE now.
No.
Okay, so let me log in back again. Let me share my screen. Okay, so this is the thing when you have. So when you first time, start doing configuration for ICE, that is what we are learning, like what kind of information they ask, right? What kind of information ICE require while setting up initially. That works. Okay, so I think that node might have some issues. So let me deploy another node. So ICE. Okay. Uh, let's go ahead. So now this is the information. Okay. So let me just start it. This is my eyes, and this is just newly deployed, right? I just want to deploy my eyes. So this is standalone, right? So I just started it, and okay, let's see what happened now. See, this is what I'm trying to see. Whenever you are deploying eyes as a VM part, okay, VM part, or physical appliance also. So this is very much initial. This is just a new box. You just unpack the box and start deploying eyes. So initially, this is the configuration point of view that the required information is. So it is asking you for please type setup to configure the appliance. So we are configuring the appliance setup. Okay, my bad. Hold on. Let me just restart it again. Okay, so now let me set up. See, guys, at the bottom of the screen, if you can see this, guys, are you able to see this?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So now it's asking me some kind of information. So before, guys, when you deploy ICE in your environment, so they required some initial information that need to be, put on ICE to get the GUI and everything. So first is asking for the enter host name. So any of the host name that you want to give to your ICE, I'm giving ICE only, and then the IP address. So this is just a contractual information, guys. Whenever you're deploying it, you require all those information with respect to your customer, like what subnet, what sort of IP address is running in their DC, right? Okay, or any of the location where they uh, locating the ICE. So I'm just simply taking 192.168 200.254. Okay, and then give the net mask gateway 192.168.200.1. So we don't have any other. So we don't want to configure IPv6. Enter the domain name. So we don't have any domain name over here. So I'm just simply typing at apc.com. Although if in the real time environment, guys, you must have a domain name for organization, and they do have a domain name, which is DNS domain, right? So you need to put that domain name over here and then move further. So the 192.168.100.1. So this is just a name server. No, we don't have secondary name server. NTP, we don't have any MTP server. So I'm just skipping that. Another NTP, no time zone, just simply enter UTC or any of the time zone you just want to configure. If you want to configure IST, you can simply put that. Okay. Now, if you want to enable the SSH service, yes, we require that. Then we click on yes. Now it's asking for the username and password. So this username and password is being used for what? Is being used for your what? Your when you are taking GUI of your eyes on the browser, then you require this username and password and this IP address. this username and password, like this IP address and the username and password that I will be giving over here. So if you don't give anything, the state of it take admin. So I'm taking admin and network. What? Okay. So now what happened? Now after all those information, there have some initial configuration that is being done on ICE, right? So we are done with that initial configurations, guys. Now what ICE is doing, ICE is validating all those information. So we need to know about this IP address, okay, and we need to know about this username and password, okay. So now after this, the information that we just put over here, ICE is just validating all those information. And we will be coming up with some errors because we don't have any of the gateway, right? We don't have any default gateway that we just put over here. So we don't want them to retry. Then we click it on no. And now it's trying to get communicated with the DNS server or the IP that we have given. So we don't have those. But guys, this is just a lab environment. So in here, we do proceed after failing the scenes, right? But whenever you are working in real-time environment, you need to give all those information so that you have all those connectivity with ICE with respect to your what? With respect to your with respect to your network. Like I should communicate with your DNS server. I should communicate with your default gateway, right? So these are the things that you need to keep in mind. So before deploying all those things to your environment, you need to get all those information from your customer that tell me the IP addresses, tell me the DNS server name, DNS domain name, DNS IP, my NTP server IP address, so that see how things work. Let me just simplify this. So if I have the this PC, this is my eyes, this is my AD, this is must be my NTP server, this is must be my what? I can say DNS server. So if I'm deploying my eyes in my DC, that it should be get communicated in between those, right? So whenever anything comes up, any user that I want to authenticate with respect to eyes, I just get it from this. And it should be communicating with my NTP server to get in sync with all those things that is present in my DC, right? So this is the requirement, right? Now what error we have? Okay. So this is asking for synchronization with NTP server failed because we don't have any NTP server. We will be proceeding with that. So now it's installing the application. So now guys, here you need to take a rest because this is the initial installation and ICE do take some time. ICE do take some serious time to get installed properly for initial configuration. So whenever you first time installing ICE, it's take serious amount of time. So maybe sometime it's take 30 minutes or 15 to 20 minutes. Okay. So now it's installing all the applications, installing ICE and everything, right? So I have, wait, let me just start this ICE and try to mention you some things that is comes after initial configurations. If that's working, let's see. So this is already initialized ICE that we have. So let's see. Because the thing that we need to monitor over here is application server. So once application server service is running, then only you can take the GUI of ICE. and that service will take some time to come up initially. So when I'm saying initially, so whenever we are doing this for very much first time, it takes some time to coming up. Okay, so I guess this ICE is also not get initialized. So this is being, so yes, this is installing, and this ICE, hold on a sec. Let me, okay, so I think I accidentally just jump off from the lab. Okay, so I think it will take some time. Okay, so let it be, guys. So my main motive is to showcase you how you initialize your ICE with initial configurations. Okay, so this is what my motto to showing all those things. I'm not straight away jumping to GUI, right? That is what my kind of thing. So I'm just want you to know about initial setup also. So any doubt in the initial setup, like with respect to the informations, with respect to any of the thing, any doubt, guys? No doubt.
No.
Okay. So now let's let it be, let it done at the back end, and then we talk about some other things. Okay. Okay. So guys, let's talk about AAA. Okay. So if I'll just talk about AAA. So in AAA, this thing, so I guess we already talked about AAA. I'm just writing down again. So by AAA, what happened is authentication, authorization, accounting. Okay. This is what we have. So let me write it down again. You need to define who you are. Okay. What you are allowed to do. Okay. And what you have done actually. Okay. So guys, this is a term that we required. Okay. That we required, like authentication. Like we need to, you need to verify your identity. You need to validate. ICE first validate you and then gives you the access. So authentication is done. Authentication is done. We will do that. Okay. But when it's come to authorization, there are some things that is running. Use two things. If you heard in initial discussion, we talked about radius. We talk about, okay, so sorry for the spelling, tacacs plus, right? These are the protocol that we basically use. So before jumping into this thing, I just want to give you a broad, what's the difference, right? What's the difference between radius and tacacs? Although we don't know about tacacs, we don't know about radius, but I just want to tell you about the difference because in incoming next sessions or maybe on Thursday, we do the lab of device administration. So that will be done by tacacs plus. Okay, so we use that. But initially, I just want to mention like what are those protocols, okay, and how they are different. So if I talk about radius, so it use UDP transport. So basically, right, this is what it uses. What it uses UDP as a transport. Tacacs plus TCP transport protocol. Okay, it uses UDP ports 1812, 1813, TCP port 49. It encrypts password only. It encrypts entire communication, right? And it combines authentication and authorization, and it basically treats AAA packets differently. So guys, by this only four difference, or let me write down one more. This is open protocol by multi-vendor. Cisco only. Basically, it is developed by Cisco, but it is can used. So guys, just say which one as per you is suitable one, radius or TACACS. Although I'm not giving you any hint or anything what on what basis we use that. The differentiality is bit different, but what do you think is the better one, radius or TACACS? Any hard guesses? Any hard guesses?
tacacs is looking better than Redis
And why you saying TACACS? Any specific reason?
because it use TCP or UDP.
Okay. And it encrypts entire communication, right?
Yeah,
And
entire
radius.
communication as
Okay. Got your point. Got your point. Any other person wants to add anything? No? Okay. So when we comes to the Thursday or Saturday class, we have a discussion. We will just go ahead and do this radius intercasting. Okay. So the functionality is different, but yes, the gas is better, but the functionality is different. So TACACS is used for different thing, radius used for different things. Okay, but I just want to mention the difference and wants to know how you combine things with respect to difference, right? So it is pretty good that you're getting all those difference. So I'm not talking about that now, because when we talk about device administration in next class, we're going to talk about this radius and TACACS, and we're going to talk about how things work over here. Okay. So now let me delete that. And now one more thing that I want to talk about, or before that, let me see where that ICE goes. Okay, so it's installing applications. Installing ICE is done. Initiating application install. Okay, so it's successfully installed, and now it's cloning all those scripts. Till the time, I think till the time, let's wait. Let's move ahead with dot 1x, 802.1x. Another important thing. So any idea about 802.1x? Like any idea, anything where you heard about this thing? What is this? What are the components? How things works in this dot 1x? Any idea? Anyone? No idea? Okay, no issue. So basically, guys, this dot 1x is IEEE standard, and that is used to perform port-based authentication. So I am just taking an example, real-time example. In your offices, if you guys are working in your offices, you have the LAN connectivity, guys, right? You have LAN connectivity. You just plugged in your LAN cable to your laptop, to your machines, and you got some kind of access, right? Or they might ask for username and password sometime. If you're going to connect to VPN, if you're going to connect with any sort of thing, it asks for the username and password. Is it like that? Is it like that? I'm not saying things in air, right? Is it like that when you put all those LAN cable in your laptop? When you're going to your company, when you're in company environment, you put the LAN cable onto your laptop, and then it's asking you for some username and password, right?
Yes, sir.
So by that, what's happening? Isn't that seems similar to authentication? Like once you
It's been authenticated.
it start authenticating your laptop, right? Who that particular in machine belongs to, and once you give the username and password, you got sort of access, right? This is how things work. So this is what we are doing in 802.1x. Okay, so it is a IEEE standard that is used to perform port based authentication. Okay, so let me write it down. That is used to perform port based authentication. Okay, this is the introductory part. And if I talk about dot 1x, what are the components that involved in dot 1x? So in there we have authentication server, authenticator, and then we have supplicant. These are the components that involved in your 802.1x, right? So now what is this supplicant? So first of all, I'm just going with the definitions, and then I make those things quite adjustable in real time environment, right? So for supplicant, if I'll just give you, so it is a piece of software that is installed on client PC. So in a simple language, what I'm trying to say, this is this is my PC. So I'm just taking a real time example. This is you and your end machine. You just plug in the LAN cable in your machine, and then this is how things work. In a simple language, I just tell you this is my applicant, okay, and switch is my authenticator, and server. This server is my what? You can call it as a ICE also, or you can say AAA server. So this is my authentication server. Okay. So supplicant is a software basically that is need to be installed on your client PC. And why it is? Because it enabled. So if it is enabled, so if .1x authentication is required, so after enabling, what happens? So after enabling of .1x authentication, client PC what? Client PC prompt to the thing that we discussed, which is username and password as we wish to connect to the network, right? Supplicant is basically that software by which it redirect me when I put the cable in my laptop, it redirect me to put the username and password, by which I'll just move or I'll just get those information to this switch, which is my authenticator. Authenticator is what? Authenticator is what? A device where we enable .1x authentication, right? So guys, are you combining all those points? Supplicant, authenticator, authentication server. By name, it's quite difficult, but now, now once I gave you this example, isn't it that things that do happen in real time? Isn't it right, guys?
Yeah,
Okay, so in authenticator is what? Authenticator is my switch. So if I define authenticator, it is a device where we enable .1x authentication. And if I just deep down, if I just deep dive into that, okay, let's talk about authentication server first. So it is a AAA server or your Radius server or your ICE server. So that is a server which basically perform what? Authentication. Okay.
yeah.
So let me add one more thing. So now there must be some protocols obviously running in between supplicant and authenticator, and from authenticator to authentication server, right? What are those protocols? So today I'm just giving you what? I'm just giving you name of it. Like in between supplicant and authenticator, the protocol that runs is which is extensible authentication protocol. Although this should be EPOL over LAN, but I'm just giving it a basic term, which is EP. This is what? Extensible authentication. This protocols run in between supplicant to authenticator. And then we have radius, right? So in between authenticator. So if I just simply say one thing, which is how packet transfer, how packet gonna transfer from my PC to that particular switch, how that packet transfer. So that packet will be transferred by which protocol? EAP. Then how that packet in that packet where in which I send username and password. So how that packet travels between authenticator and authentication server, how that packet, who is responsible for that packet to make it reach over here? Radius is the one. Radius is the one who take my packet from switch to my AAA server. AAA server is what? AAA server is where basic authentication will be done. After authentication, it will gives you the authorization factor. Okay. So let me write it down some things. So supplicant is what? So I'm just writing down the normal definitions that we have. So it is piece of software that is installed on a client PC. Okay, that is what my supplicant basically defined as. And if I talk about authenticator, so a device where we enable .1x authentication. Okay, and now if I talk about authentication server, so it is okay. It is a AAA server slash your radius server slash your ICE server. So this is how things work. Although we're going to talk about the packet flow, might be in the next class where we talk about how packet is flowing from supplicant to authenticator and then authenticator to your authentication server. Okay, today is not the day where we discuss about it. Okay, now the term that we use, which is EAP. What is EAP? So as the name suggests, extensible authentication protocol. So this is what? So this is a .1x use what? EAP to exchange messages during the authentication process. So in wired manner, as I just told you, this should be EAP-OL, which is over LAN. Okay, so that in between LAN, the packet is traveling from supplicant to authenticator in EAP protocol. So guys, I'm not today is first lecture, so I'm not going deep into all those things. So initial point is that this is how things work, right? This is how when we put username and password over here, first we'll put that LAN cable and we give username. Oh, okay. So first of all, not the username. Initially what happened? Okay, I'll put the LAN cable and then I try to access something. So access request goes to server. Then access request goes to server. Then server asks for what? Server asks for, okay, before I'll give you the access, give me or just tell me who you are. So who you are means what? Trying to authenticate. Authenticate means give me your username and password. Okay. Once the username and password goes to my AAA server, which is this one. Okay. Now, this AAA server check at their end what kind of policy I have created for particular user. So how things happen in this environment? Initially, we take an example, right? So let me just remove this initially. So if I'll just remove all those things and create a topology over here. This is my W W1. This is my W2. Okay, these are the servers. This is internet. Okay, from internet, multiple users I'm having. This is what? This is my branch one. This is my DC data center. Okay. Now suppose user comes to over here. So I'm taking an example of Fencer. One of the user, which is Fencer, comes to the company and just open the laptop and put that LAN cable. Okay. Put that LAN cable and just after putting the LAN cable, try to access something. Access, or if I'm trying to say, it's try to get the access of this server. Okay. So I'm just talking with respect to the higher points. Okay. So trying to access server one, which is my web server. This is my web server one. Fencer just logged in and try to access something on server one, which is my website. And here is your network administrator. Network administrator has enabled the radius. Enabled the radius on ICE. And in radius, what that particular person does, that person does something like this, that they just enable that if somebody wants to access any of the web servers, they need to first authenticate themselves. Okay. So by that, and what I'm trying to say, when Fencer logged in into the company domain and wants to access server one, what happened? In the back end, dot 1x happened. Dot 1x is what? Your port authentication. So now it's try to authenticate. When this access request goes to there, then the switch gives a message over here on Fencer's screen that authenticate yourself. Okay. So it will authenticate. So it will ask Fencer to authenticate yourself because as a network admin, I have configured on ICE that only the authenticated person will have the access to the web servers that is situated in my DC, right? So now whenever anybody wants to try access those web server, they first need to authenticate themselves. Okay, so now on Fencer's screen, a pop-up message comes, and that message is asking for give me your username and password, right? So they're asking for once this user Finzer give that username and password, that message will goes to ICE, and that message travel to ICE with radius protocol. Okay, and here EP is running, right? Now in this message that comes with radius on ICE policy, network administrator make some policies. That policies are whenever suppose this user Fencer is from marketing team. Okay, and with respect to this policy, we have created that marketing team is allowed to access W1 only. So now in policy, I have created that only marketing team person will have that access to, or will have access to take any of the services that is there on web server 1, right? So once it's checked the policy at ICE, once it checks the policy at ICE, okay, that matches, because after 1A, here simple things, guys, this triple A is working. The first one is authentication, accounting. So now what happen is, now the things happen like, okay, authentication is done. Now what about authorization? What about authorization? So now this ICE server, or because of this policy, some kind of ACL, which used to be DACL, downloadable access, push towards Pinzer PC. That okay, you are from marketing team. Okay, take this, take this VLAN, take this DACL. Okay, once that ACL and VLAN push to that particular endpoint or that laptop, now that laptop have only those access. So I'm not talking about VLAN, not talking about access list. The only that thing is Web 1 allowed. So now if Fencer tried to access Web Server 2, Web Server 3, again that step gonna happen. Again, so the username and password won't be asking, but it will check the policies. But when it's checked the other policies, in that policy, this smart guy, network administrator, mentioned that only HR team is allowed to have access of Web Server 2, or only only the technical team is allowed to access your Web Server 3. So whenever anybody from marketing team try to access, the access is not allowed. Okay. This scenario is clear, right? Guys, this scenario is clear. Any doubt in this? Then only we'll jump to another one. Guys, is this clear?
Yes.
Yes, clear.
Okay. So now Fenzer got off shift. Fenzer just take his laptop and just go back to home and chilling. Now shift comes up. Now Sayyid as a technical person comes to the office and seated on the same portion where Finzer sit. Finzer was used this LAN port. So, so the same port is now been open because Finzer just left. Now Sayyid come. Sayyid is from technical team. Now Sayyid just put that LAN cable in his laptop. Okay, and just try to access what? Server 3. Server 3. Now, what happened? Dot one next is port based authentication. So that doesn't mean that this port is what? This port is not fixed to fencer. Now, same thing happened with Sayed also. Sayed tried to access web server 3, and again that process happened. The access request come to the switch. Switch replied back with what? First, tell me who you are. Okay. And now Sayed just put his username and password, and that packet comes to ICE. And when it comes to ICE, ICE will check what? ICE again checks his policy, and in policy there is one more policy, is that when technical person come, it will allow to have access only web 3, web server 3. And now again the DACL and specific VLAN is pushed to his machine, and now he can access it. Okay, so guys, this is just a overview of the packet that I just tried to explain now. Okay, so any doubt in this, how things work in ICE? Right, this is not the deep dive packet flow we just talked about, but we just talked about the overview that we have with respect to ICE. So any doubt in this?
No.
Okay.
No.
Okay, so I think this will be enough for today. So before moving or before leaving to this, let me see what we have with respect to the lab. Let's see. Let's see. Okay, see guys, that ICE just got initialized. This is the one. This is the one. Okay, so so admin is what we have given. The password is ICE network @ 123, and let's see what kind of services are up now. So this is show application status ICE. Sorry. So now by this command, you can see what kind of applications are enabled or in enabled or in running state. Okay, so as you can see over here, okay, so the important one that we want to see over here. So although all those services are important, but to take a GUI, this application server service needs to come at running state. Okay, if that service is not in a running state, guys, you won't able to take GUI of your ICE. Okay, this is important things to know about. Okay, as you can see, some of the services are running, some of are in initializing state. So these things you need to keep in mind, you know, while while doing all those things. So this is the CLI of ICE that we just talked about. So if I'll go to some other command that we can run, show interfaces. So this is, by this you can see the interfaces that we have with ICE. Okay, I just need to check if we can take the GUI or not. So I don't think so. Today we can go ahead because it will take some time. So guys, whenever you are setting up lab with at your end, or you just doing some of the initial installation of ICE with respect to a customer, do this thing in your mind that whenever initial configuration is being done, this kind of this services like application and all other services will take some time to come up. Okay, so it will take some good amount of time. Maybe sometime they'll take half an hour, sometime more than that. That is depending upon the infra, right, or the internet you have. Okay, so I don't think so we can run a good GUI session today because I just want to showcase some of the GUI session, but I don't think so we can do it today, or hold on a sec. Let me just stop this eyes and try to make a visibility if we can see. So if you're talking about the requirements, so I think I straight away takes 10 to 11 GB of RAM, I think, to get installed on on EVNG if you want to. Let's see if that ICE is initialized or not. Okay, so I think that ICE is still not initialized. Okay, so what's the status of this one? Let's see if services comes up or not. Okay, so the profiler database is in running state. It's not running. Okay, so I think this. Okay, guys. So let's wrap up for today. I think we will be doing the uh, little tour of GUI in the next session, or that will be on Thursday at the same timing. Okay, so we'll have a look of those things in there. Okay. Any doubt before you guys leave for the session? Like any doubt from this initial class, introduction class?
No, sir.
Spencer,
Mm, no, it's clear.
Satish, you have any doubt?
Yeah, sure. What will be covered in this course?
Sorry.
What will be covered in this course, sir?
So you're talking about the topics?
Topics here.
Yeah. So if I can just
I
give
was
you
on
a
the way. I'm not, I'm not able to see.
Satish, your voice is quite not coming up.
Okay. So can you please share me the
The topics, right?
topics?
Yeah. So initially we discussed about the topic that we're going to cover over here. So
Mhm.
if I just go ahead with this architecture and deployment,
Okay.
we're going to talk about the personas. So we already have a discussion about the different personas that we have with ICE. Okay. And then
Okay.
we will be talking about the deployment modes, like how you can deploy ICE, whether it's in standalone. So most of the time, as we are doing this in a lab environment, so we will be working on standalone only. Okay. And then
Mhm.
if you talk about the features, so for features, we will talk about the policy enforcement, like how we will be creating different policies with respect to the users. Okay.
Okay.
And then we're going to talk about the guest access, profiling, BYOD. Okay. So these are the main things, that main concentration point that we have with respect to the course. And then
Okay.
we will talk about radius and tacacs plus.
Wait. I'm from compliance. Is the posturing, na?
Yes. So with respect to posturing, I'm just straight away saying you that in this lab environment, we won't be able to do the hands-on or showcase of this module, right?
Okay.
Okay, because this is something related to the real-time environment. We don't have any machines over here, right, to put all those compliance rule over here. But yes, we're gonna talk about it, how we can set up it, how it's work, what's the logic behind it, why do we need that. So everything, see, this is a lab environment where we talked about most of the thing that we are not doing in a proper manner, but the only focus of this course with respect to myself is that I can make you realize things like how things happen with respect to ICE, with any of these use cases, whether it is guest access, whether it is profiling, whether it is BYOD. Okay. So I'll try to give you at most the whole idea, like how you can do the deployment thing, how you can do all those things. Okay.
Next 7.02 next. Then
Sorry.
this is 7.0 is the last, na?
Yes, yes, yes. The network device, network access device
No,
administration.
no, no, no.
So
7.0 and 7.1, 7.2 is the last topic, na?
yes, 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 yes. Is there anything you want to ask, Satish?
No, 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 sir. Thanks.
Okay, so I think Sayyid, Pinzer, everything is fine. Let's meet on Thursday with the device administration practical part, and we're going to talk about GUI of ICE first, and then jump into device administrator. Okay, is that okay, guys?
Yeah, fine.
Okay.
Fine.
Okay.
Okay, guys, thank you so much for your time. We'll meet on Thursday. Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Bye. Good night.
Thank you.
Okay, good night, guys. Bye bye.